Man, to answer the question, like, what does this honor mean to me? It's special because of the memories and the relationships. This is a special place, and when you're a coach, you're at a lot of stops. There's a lot of moves. Man, I wanted to be a college head coach, and never thought about the NFL. But as I drove in this morning, what crossed my mind is, talking to this football team and really going back to 1994 when I got hired by Randy Walker, the late Randy Walker, and Terry Hepner, who's passed since too. It's not until you're here, till you touch it, till you have success here, that you realize how unique it is. And I remember when I went on to Illinois, feeling like this is a place where I'd love my children someday to go to college. Now, 25 years later, 30 years later, there's a few of these stops that we all take in our coaching profession that you would say are Sharpie, highlighted stops. This was one of them for me, and it was because of the school, but it was also because of the individuals here that made it that way. And so it's been 26 years since I've been back on campus, and this morning, it's just, flying into Hamilton, making the drive over, and kind of getting lost a little bit on campus. But it is special, and I think of Randy, and I think of Terry Hepner, and I think of those guys that took a chance on a young coach. They didn't have to. That really gave me an opportunity to kind of put me where I'm at today.
Is there a piece of advice or a piece of coaching wisdom that Randy gave you that kind of stuck with you throughout your career?
I would say very quickly you felt his passion and his attention to detail. There wasn't anything we didn't cover 3, 4, 5 times. We're teachers. And I would say you felt his passion for this place. He played here. He was successful here. It was so important to him to carry on that tradition that he was used to. And I would say the discipline and the mental toughness and the regimen and the schedule and the details, and those were all like Bill Mallory components that Randy learned from him. And so those kind of get passed down, and we all benefited from that. And it wasn't necessarily always easy either, but the toughness in preparation and grit, those were great strengths of his.
And then lastly, as the 4th Super Bowl champion head coach to be inducted into the Cradle of Coaches, in your opinion, what aspects of Miami football contribute to the development of these successful coaches like yourself?
Each one has a separate story. I can share a few. I'm a young assistant coach at the Eagles, 1 year in, and the next year we hire a young special teams coach in John Harbaugh. Who knows, my second year in the league was his first, and we became close friends. Years later, there's a young Sean McVay, who I got to know and was just with 2 weeks ago. He just turned 39. We kind of gave him a hard time. We pretended like he just turned 24, like he's the Benjamin Button NFL coach. But I think all of us that find our way to a successful season or a team, there's so much DNA imprinted prior to that event. There's my high school coach I think about who squared me around, and more so than in football, just in terms of responsibility. There's my college coach. There's coaches like Randy or Hep or Parcells or Groot. There's everyone has a chance, and sometimes we don't get to choose this. I was looking anxiously for a job in '94 when Randy hired me, and so I wanted that, and yet you really don't. Sometimes it's good fortune, but I would say with with every one of those coaches, and even those that have been successful at the collegiate level, there's been some imprinted DNA from others that we've all benefited from seeing, hearing, watching, and then kind of formulating what we're going to do with, our game plan.